the news tonight, President Bola Tinubu swears in Walsin Jack as new head of service. Federal government vows to combat certificate fraud in educational institutions. WAEC releases 2024 West African Senior School Certificate Examination results. Abroad, Paul Kagame sworn in for fourth term as Rwanda's president. Hello, good evening. Thank you for joining us on Delta Television News tonight. My name is Onome Iyarowe. President Bola Tinubu has sworn in the new head of the civil service, the head of the civil service of the Federation, Mrs. Didi Walsin Jack. Mrs. Walsin Jack took the oath of office at the council chamber of the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja today, just before the commencement of the Federal Executive Council meeting. She succeeds Dr. Folashade Yemieson, who served as a substantive HOS from March 4, 2020 until August 12, 2024, a day before she attained the retirement age of 60. The swearing-in ceremony comes nearly a month after the president on July 17 approved her appointment. While receiving the new head of service, President Tinubu said she was stepping into a very big shoe and prayed God to guide with wisdom and enhance her integrity to serve the country and the civil service in the most successful way. The president also thanked the outgoing HOS for what he called an exceptional tenure. Born in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State on August 27, 1966, Mrs. Walsin Jack holds a bachelor in law from the University of Lagos and was called to bar in 1987. She served as Solicitor General of Bayelsa State and Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Justice in July 2002. Similarly, President Bola Tinubu has tasked the Nigerian public servants to be more committed to duty in accordance with the civil service rules. President Tinubu stated this during a brief valedictory session held in honor of the outgone head of service of the Federation, Dr. Folashade Yemieson, preceding the Federal Executive Council meeting at the Council Chamber, Presidential Villa, Abuja. The president lauded the exceptional tenure of the outgone head of service, saying she served with distinction and significant transformation of the Nigerian public service. He urged public service officers to learn from Dr. Yemieson, adding that public office holders must learn from her commitment to duty, loyalty, and great vision. The president further extolled her dedication and transparency to the service, adding that it has enhanced professionalism and set a high standard for public administration in Nigeria. President Tinubu further appreciated Dr. Yemieson for the significant impact she made on the Nigerian public service. Responding, the outgone head of civil service of the Federation, Dr. Folashade Yemieson, advised government workers to continually place the progress of the nation first ahead of other interests. She said with that, Nigeria will attain the great purpose for it. The federal government has reiterated its commitment to combating certificate fraud in the educational institutions in its neighboring countries to safeguard the reputation of Nigeria's educational certificates at international levels. It also highlighted specific measures being implemented to streamline the student scholarship process to ensure that deserving students receive the necessary support to pursue their studies. The Minister of State for Education, Professor Tanko Sununu, gave the assurance during a crucial engagement with the leadership of the National Assembly, the National Association of Nigerian Students Diaspora, led by its president, Comrade Joan Chris, a mechanical and manufacturing engineering student of RMIT University, Australia. Comrade Sununu, while responding to the concerns raised by the students through a statement by the liaison officer, Diaspora Student Affairs, Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Students' Engagement, Mr. Akbeoluwa Ojekemi in Ibadan, Oyo State Capital, provided detailed explanations about the government's ongoing efforts to address the challenges. He also frowned at the alarming prevalence of certification racketeering in neighboring countries, particularly in Benin Republic and Togo. In his remark, the liaison officer, Diaspora Student Affairs, Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Students' Engagement, Ojekemi, reaffirmed the government's commitment to maintaining open and transparent communication channels with Nigerian students abroad and their representatives. The West African Examinations Council, WAEC, has released the 2024 West African Senior School Certificate Examinations WASC results for school candidates. The examination body, in a statement, urged candidates to access the results by logging on to https://waecdirect.org. The statement added that a total of 1,814,344 candidates from 22,229 secondary schools nationwide sat for the examination. The candidates comprised 902,328 males, representing 49.73%, and 912,016 females, representing 50.27%, who were examined in 76 subjects, comprising 197 papers. Also, the Council revealed that the results of 215,267 candidates were withheld. The figure represents 11.92% of the 1,805,216 candidates who took the examination. The 2024 WASC commenced on Tuesday, 30th April 2024 and concluded on 24th June 2024. The head of the Nigeria office, WAEC, Dr. Amos Dangote, while announcing the release of the 2024 WASC results, stated that the results withheld were in connection with various reported cases of examination malpractice. He explained that this figure was 4.37% lower than the 16.29% recorded in the WASC for school candidates in 2023. Dr. Dangote stressed that the Council would continue to sanction all cases of examination malpractice, noting that schools, supervisors, teachers, and candidates involved in such practices were undermining the educational system. He said the increasing use of mobile phones in the examination hall, despite the existing ban, and organized cheating in some schools are other nagging issues, as all cases are being investigated and reports of the investigations will be presented to the appropriate committee of the Council for consideration and final decisions. He added that the committee's decisions will be communicated to the affected candidates through their various schools in due course. Dr. Dangote also revealed that 73.79% of candidates obtained credits or above in a minimum of any 5 subjects with or without English language and or mathematics. This figure represents 1,332,089 candidates out of the total 1,805,216 who sat for the examination. The Senate has challenged former President Olusegun Obasanjo to provide evidence to back up claims he made, wherein he alleged that senators were fixing their own salaries and emoluments. In a statement signed by its spokesman, Senator Yemi Adaramodu, the Senate issued a strong denial of allegations suggesting that it was involved in determining its own salaries or receiving special fiscal packages from the presidency. The claims surfaced during a visit by members of the House of Representatives to former President Obasanjo. The claims have since sparked widespread public condemnations. The Senate described the allegations as an attempt to crucify the legislature by the centurions of political hypocrisy. Senator Adaramodu emphasized that no senator has received any financial patronage from the presidency. He claimed that the constituency projects often linked to the legislature were merely suggested and nominated by lawmakers, following practices common in other democracies worldwide. To set the record straight, the Senate stressed that it only received the salary allocated to it by the Revenue Mobilization Fiscal Allocation Commission in strict accordance with constitutional provisions. The Senate challenged anyone with credible evidence to present contrary facts, describing any suggestion that the National Assembly fixes its own salaries as uncharitable and satanic. The Senate further explained that the executive arm of government, through its various ministries and agencies, is responsible for awarding contracts for the constituency projects. A joint committee of the ECOWAS Parliament, led by Nigeria's House of Representatives Deputy Speaker, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, began its decolonized oversight meeting in Abidjan, Ivory Coast. The week-long event, which comprises some of the Parliament's standing committees, namely Administration, Finance, Budget, Public Accounts, Macroeconomic Policy, and Economic Research, will end on Friday. The theme of the event is the role of the ECOWAS Parliament in community budget formulation and monitoring. The Joint Committee was constituted and charged with executing very important oversight activities on their aforementioned schedules as encapsulated in the outlined community policy. The main objective of the delocalized committee meeting is for its members to have an in-depth knowledge and understanding of the issues in focus, with a view to facilitating parliamentary deliberations on budgeting. It also aims to equip members to carry out oversight functions over the programs and activities of ECOWAS as mandated by the Supplementary Act on the Enhancement of the Powers of the Parliament. It is expected that members of the Joint Committee will be sensitized by resource persons and stakeholders drawn largely from relevant technical directorates of ECOWAS Commission on recent developments in the sectors in focus. Resource persons drawn from relevant organizations like the organized civil society will also make presentations to the Joint Committee to equip the parliamentarians with all-round perspectives on the issues. The Committee on Administration, Finance and Budget is responsible for matters relating to adoption of community budget, examining the draft annual budget of the Parliament, monitoring financial and administrative management in the Parliament. It is also responsible for assessing the effectiveness of various community financing mechanisms, notably the implementation of the protocol relating to the community levy, the coordination of various financial instruments. The committee is also charged with the task of evaluating the cost effectiveness of implementing policies financed by the community and controlling the executive of Parliament's budgets. It is also tasked with verifying accounts and balance sheets relating to decisions concerning the closure of the 15 member states is guaranteed a minimum of 5 allotted seats. The remaining 40 seats are distributed in proportion to the population of each country. Nigeria has a total of 35 seats, followed by Ghana with 8 seats. Cote d'Ivoire is allotted 7 seats, whereas Burkina Faso, Guinea, Mali, Niger, and Senegal have 6 seats. The Edo State Governor, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, has accepted the resignation of the Secretary to the state government, Mr. Sarodion Ogie, and has appointed Mr. Joseph Eboigbe as the new Secretary to the State Government, SSG. Mr. Ogie resigned on August 9 to concentrate on his political ambition. He is the running mate to the People's Democratic Party governorship candidate, Mr. Asue Ighodalo, in the September 21 election in the state. Mr. Ogie said his resignation was in conformity with electoral law, which mandates political appointees who want to contest elections to resign 30 days before the election. The special advisor to the governor on media projects, Mr. Crusoe Sagi, said the Governor Godwin Obaseki-led administration has accepted the resignation of the secretary to the state government, who, in line with the extant laws, has stepped down from his position to pursue his ambition to run as the deputy governor of Edo State. Mr. Iboigbe served as former special advisor to the governor on budget and economic planning, and later as commissioner for finance. He takes over as secretary to the state government to now run the final lap and continue the governor's finishing strong agenda. You're watching the Delta Television main news. Up ahead, Paul Kagame sworn in for the fourth term as Rwanda's president. Details of this and more shortly after this break. Please stay tuned.
Can I please borrow your wig? Can I please borrow your wig?
No, but I can share my data with you.
Hey, come and give me some ice cream now.
No, Mom, but I can share some of my data with you.
Can you pass the door, please?
No, but I can share my data with you.
Maya, can I use your phone charger?
No, Dad, but I can share my data with you.
Is it because Glow gives you data bonus? That is why you have been shouting. I can share my data with you.
With Glow Data Sharing, you can share your data effortlessly with friends and loved ones today. Dial *312#.
Power your relentless ambition with ultra-high-speed data.
Glow Unlimited.
Welcome back to the Delta Television main news. Iran's Vice President, Mr. Mohammad Zarif, has resigned, leaving President Masoud Pezeshkian's cabinet just 11 days after his appointment. Mr. Zarif hinted the selection of ministers for the president's new cabinet had been the reason for his decision, adding that at least 7 of the 19 ministers nominated were not his first choice. His withdrawal is the second crisis for Pezeshkian since he took office at the end of July, following the killing of Palestinian militant Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran. Mr. Zarif was Pezeshkian's right-hand man during his presidential election campaign, and due to his popularity, also played a key role in Pezeshkian's victory. After the election, the vice president and a group of experts were to compile a list of candidates for government posts who would implement the promised reforms, but the president presented a list yesterday which observers believe did not match the plans and promises of reform. It's now time to join our global scene for more updates.
Volodymyr Zelensky has confirmed for the first time that the Ukrainian military is conducting a cross-border offensive inside Russia's western Kursk region. President Zelensky said Ukraine was pushing the war onto the aggressor's territory. Russia's foreign ministry said its army will deliver a tough response to the incursion. Kyiv had earlier launched a surprise attack and has advanced more than 10 kilometers inside Russia. Russia said 76,000 people have been evacuated from border areas in the Kursk region, making it the deepest raid into the country since Moscow began its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Kyiv and several other regions came under a Russian drone and missile attack overnight, killing 2 persons. Venezuela's opposition coalition has called for protests to be held worldwide on August 17 in support of its claim to have won the country's presidential election. President Nicolas Maduro was declared the winner by the government-controlled Electoral Commission, which handed him a third consecutive term in office. The opposition said its candidate, Mr. Edmundo Gonzalez, was the real winner and has called for the commission to release detailed data from polling stations. The call has been backed by the European Union and the United States, while a number of other Latin American nations have so far held off recognizing Mr. Maduro as the winner of last month's poll. Opposition leader Maria Corina Machado posted a video on social media in which she said Venezuelans should take to the streets worldwide on Saturday, 17 August, in support of her party's claim of victory. The opposition published a data set online shortly after the July 28 election, which it said proved that Mr. Gonzalez won by a wide margin. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said there was overwhelming evidence that Mr. Edmundo Gonzalez had won the most votes. The Maduro government, however, insists that the result announced by the National Electoral Council, which was stacked with its allies, was the only valid one. Mr. Maduro has said he will publish the vote tallies, but has not specified when. He accused the opposition of producing fake evidence to contest the result of the election and said the United States was behind what he described as a farce and a coup attempt. Mr. Paul Kagame has been sworn in for a fourth consecutive term as Rwanda's president after winning 99% of the vote in last month's election. While some hailed Mr. Kagame for bringing peace and stability to his country after the 1994 genocide, others accused him of running a repressive regime in a country where ordinary people are afraid to openly criticize him. Rights groups said the margin of his electoral victory was proof of the lack of democracy in Rwanda, as only 2 candidates were allowed to stand against Mr. Kagame in the July 15 election. Also, in his 4 presidential elections, he has always gained at least 93% of the vote. Several African heads of state were among the many thousands who attended the ceremony in the packed 45,000 capacity Amahoro National Stadium in the capital Kigali. In his oath of office, Mr. Kagame vowed to preserve peace and national sovereignty and to consolidate the national unity, while pledging to never use the powers conferred upon him for personal interests. Mr. Kagame has been the real power in Rwanda since his forces came to power at the end of the genocide, in which some 800,000 ethnic Tutsis and moderate Hutus were slaughtered, ousting the genocidal regime.
The National Bureau of Statistics has published the Federation Account Allocation Committee data as the 36 states received 39.62 billion naira as ecological fund allocations from June 2023 to June 2024. The ecological fund is a crucial part of Nigeria's federal revenue allocation, specifically designated to address various environmental challenges nationwide, including erosion, desertification, flooding, oil spills, and drought. Established in 1981, the fund is drawn from the Federation account at a rate of 2%, with the primary objective of assisting all tiers of government in tackling ecological problems. The fund's disbursement process is managed by the Ecological Fund Office under the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Over the past year, the federal government distributed 39.62 billion naira among 36 states. The disbursements reflect the varying degrees of environmental challenges faced across Nigeria, with funds allocated based on the severity of these challenges. Kano State received the highest allocation, totaling 2.1 billion naira, averaging 175 million naira per month. Borno State, which is dealing with environmental damage linked to the insurgency, received 1.68 billion naira, averaging 140 million naira per month, the second highest allocation. Recently, heavy rainfalls reportedly rendered a portion of the Kano-Maiduguri highway impassable, causing significant disruptions to traffic flow. Many states have also been affected by the rains. The federal government has terminated the contract for Section 1 of the Kano-Maiduguri Road project due to prolonged delays. This decision was announced by the Minister of Works, Senator David Umahi, in a statement by his special advisor on media, Mr. Uchenna Orji. The minister also urged an immediate assessment of the road project. The woman who tore her husband's passport, Mrs. Igebo, has broken her silence on the reasons she did it. According to her, her family had issues long before they returned to Nigeria from Europe. Mrs. Igebo, a content creator known for sharing content about her husband and kids on TikTok, said the issue has been going on for a long time and she had to do what she did. She apologized to Nigerians who were angry over her action and to the Nigerian Immigration Service, NIS. Mr. Igebo further said, or Mrs. Igebo further said her husband had neglected her for his family and alleged that her husband is a mother's boy, sister's and brother's best brother. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Immigration Service said it has launched a probe into the incident. This is contained in a statement released by the NIS Public Relations Officer, Mr. Kenneth Udo. The NIS noted that the actions could be a violation of the Immigration Act 2015 as amended, which prohibits the willful destruction of Nigerian travel documents. The Act outlines specific penalties for such offenses. The statement further emphasized the service's dedication to enforcing the Immigration Act strictly to safeguard national security and preserve the integrity of Nigeria's legal and diplomatic instruments. Let's now join our business news desk for happenings in the business sector.
Families who switched from tomato to other alternatives may need to return to their favorite fruit as prices have dropped on the commencement of a new harvest season and the July-August rain break. Tomato prices fell 58% between January and this month, in a relief for several families hard hit by over 40% food inflation in the country. A survey of markets across Lagos revealed that a big basket of tomatoes currently sells for 50,000 naira, as against an average of 120,000 in January and February. In Onitsha, the basket costs between 60,000 naira and 75,000 naira. At major markets in Abuja, prices hover between 45,000 naira and 60,000 naira. A small basket of tomatoes now costs 6,500 in Lagos as against 13,000 in January. For pepper, a small basket of habanero pepper currently sells for an average of 13,000 naira as against 35,000 naira at the peak of the price surge in May-June, indicating a 63% decline over the period. That sudden drop in prices of tomatoes has elicited different reactions from Nigerians who were forced to explore alternatives due to the high cost of the fruits. At the peak of the rainy season, which led to the unprecedented price increases of the vegetable, Nigerians alternated with beets, cucumbers, and carrots for their stews. It also affected the popular jollof rice. A jollof rice index revealed that the average cost of cooking a pot of jollof rice increased by 19.6% from 16,955 naira to 20,274 naira between March and June. That drop in tomato and pepper prices comes as relief and a window of hope to Nigerians, many of whom had to do away with the vegetables in their midst to rely on cheap substitutes. In Africa, Nigeria is the largest grower of tomatoes, yet approximately 700,000 tons rot as waste each year through post-harvest losses, according to the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. Local refineries have raised their crude oil requirements from Nigeria's oil-producing companies to 597,000 for the next 5 months. This is according to a statement from the Nigeria Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC. According to the report, Nigeria's refineries have increased their domestic crude requirements for the second half of 2024 to 597,700 barrels per day, up from 483,000 barrels per day in the first half. NUPRC also confirmed that the oil companies were only able to provide 177,777 barrels per day to the refineries in the first 6 months of the year, way below the requirements of the refineries. The increasing crude requirements of local refineries, coupled with the challenges oil producers face in meeting demand, have created tensions between the 650,000 barrel per day Dangote refinery and the regulator.
American-born Nigerian champion Dubem Anene has announced his retirement from athletics at age 21, following the disqualification of the men's 4x400 meters relay squad from Paris 2024 Olympic Games or Olympic finals. Anene was part of the Nigerian quartet of Ifeanyi Ojeli, Ezekiel Nathaniel, and Chidi Okezie to have qualified for the 4x400 meters final, having finished second in the Heat 2 with a season's best of 2 minutes 59.81 seconds. Unfortunately, their joy was cut short as they were disqualified from competing in the final for an adjudged lane infringement by Ojeli, who ran the first leg before handing over the baton to Nathaniel. Following the unfortunate news, Anene, who won the national title at the Nigerian Olympic trials in Benin earlier this year, announced he will be quitting the sport to pursue a career in finance, since he has fulfilled his lifelong dream of becoming an Olympian. The 21-year-old graduated from the University of Michigan in June with a degree in economics and will now join the workforce. That's the size of our bulletin for tonight. Next is the thought. A fool is known by his speech, and a wise man by silence. To end Delta Television main news tonight, here are the highlights. President Bola Tinubu has sworn in the new head of Civil Service of the Federation, Mrs. Didi Walsin-Jack. Mrs. Walsin-Jack took the oath of office at the council chamber of the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja today, just before the commencement of the Federal Executive Council meeting. The federal government has reiterated its commitment to combating certificate fraud in educational institutions in its neighboring countries to safeguard the reputation of Nigeria's educational certificates at international levels. It also highlighted specific measures being implemented to streamline the student scholarship process to ensure that deserving students receive the necessary support to pursue their studies. The West African Examinations Council, WAEC, has released the 2024 West African Senior School Certificate Examinations WASC result for school candidates. The examination body, in a statement, urged candidates to access the results by logging into https://waecdirect.org. And from the foreign scene, reported that Paul Kagame has been sworn in for the 4th term as Rwanda's president. So much for Delta Television main news. On behalf of the news editor and the production team, this is Onome Iyaroe. Thanking you for watching. Do have a beautiful night rest.